All right, guys, for your drag and drop game today, if you're using the same sprites I am, I got those for you on Canvas. You can click here, download them. You will need all of these files. And then we're going to upload them in App Inventor. So I've got my watermelon, umbrella, shell, and ball so far. I'm going to upload all my targets real quick. And you'll see that I have a ball and then I have a ball target, and they have to match because this is a matching game. So I'm going to upload all my targets. I have them named correctly. If you're creating your own targets, that's fine. You're going to want to try to name them because this particular app requires a lot of different code, and having things named correctly is going to be kind of a big deal. I have a canvas on my page. My canvas is set at 80% and 95%. I have 4 image sprites. These are my colored pictures. Each one is set to 100 pixels high, 100 pixel wide to start, and I've attached their picture. I need to add 4 more image sprites. And I have a tablet next to me that is showing me where these are going right now because I need to make sure that what they show up as on my tablet is what matters. So since I did 100 for my originals, I'm also going to do 100 for my targets. This one's going to be all target. Okay, so you're going to want to get all of your image sprites uploaded, all of your targets uploaded. Make sure they're sized correctly to match whatever it is that you make your top colored pictures. So I'll have 8 image sprites total. I have a horizontal arrangement at the bottom that has a score label, a reset button, and a solutions button. So get all of your pictures, your image sprites uploaded and sized, and then come back. All right, next thing we need to do, now that I've got everything on here, is I went through and I clicked on each one of my sprites and I wrote down on an index card their X and Y locations. We're going to need this for the code here in a little bit. So I have an index card that says umbrella 541.7, watermelon 397.5. I did this for each of my shapes and each of my targets. So you need to do that next. Write all those down and then come back. I'm going to keep going. We're going to start writing some blocks. So the first thing that I need to do is tell it that I'm going to drag some of my colored sprites around the screen. My targets are not going to be draggable. Since I have 4 different sprites I need to drag around the screen, and I don't want to be able to drag more than 1 sprite at a time, I actually have to tell App Inventor which sprite I'm trying to drag. So I'm going to start with umbrella, and I'm going to say when umbrella touched down. Okay, so when I actually take my finger and I put it down on my tablet and I leave it there, so I'm pushing on the umbrella, I'm going to set a new variable called touched sprite. So I'm going to initialize a global variable, calling it touched sprite, and I'm going to start it out at a 0 because when the game starts, I'm not actually touching any of the sprites. But when I touch down on my umbrella, I need to set my variable. So I'm going to set my touched sprite variable, and I'm going to make umbrella be number 1. Okay, on my index card where I wrote all my XY coordinates, I'm going to write down what number each of those sprites is going to be. So when my umbrella is touched down, that's a 1. I'm going to duplicate that code and say that when my ball is touched, that's actually going to be a 3. My watermelon is my 2, because that's the order I wrote it in on my index card. And then my shell is going to be my 4. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And because I'm a perfectionist like that, I'm going to reorder them. So when my game starts, I'm not touching anything. If I touch the umbrella, it's a 1, watermelon's a 2, ball is a 3, Shell is a 4. That's the order I'm going to go in. All right. So get all those done. Pause. Come back. Now, I'm only going to walk you through how to do one of these sprites, and then it's going to be your job to do the other 3 for the rest of the game. So I'm going to stick with umbrella. I don't need these, so I'm going to collapse them out of my way. You just do that by double tapping on them because I don't want my screen to be all cluttered. So now I need to tell it that I want to drag my umbrella around the screen. So I'm going to go to umbrella, and I'm going to say when umbrella dragged. And then I'm going to use a control block for if then, because I want App Inventor to only recognize the umbrella being dragged if my touch sprite is triggered. So I'm going to do an if, grab a math block for equals, and then my variable of touched sprite, and my umbrella is number 1. So when the umbrella is being dragged, if I had already triggered it that it was the umbrella, then I can call the umbrella to move. And I want it to follow my current finger location. So that's the current X, current Y, just like we have done before. Now, if I test this on my tablet right now, I should be able to drag my umbrella around the screen. It stops wherever I let go of it. It doesn't actually attach to my target yet, but I can move it around the screen. And it's the only one I can move around the screen at the moment. Okay. Then I need to tell it how to recognize that it's on the right target. So I'm going to go back to umbrella, and I'm going to say when umbrella touch up, which means when I lift my finger off of my screen, that's the code I'm going to write. This one's going to need an if then else because I need to tell it that if it is hitting its target, then I can score a point. If it's not hitting its target, or else, I need it to go back to its original starting location. So underneath my if, I'm going to go back to my umbrella, and I'm going to say if my umbrella is colliding with there. That's going to go on if. I need to tell it what the other is, and in this case, it's the umbrella target. So I'm looking for a light green. It's like the last one right here. Now, if you are trying to do this and this scroll bar keeps getting in your way, you just need to change your zoom a little bit, and then you'll be able to grab your target. So if the umbrella is colliding with the target when I lift my finger, I need to do a couple things. First is I want to score a point, but I haven't initialized my score variable yet, so I'm going to do that real quick. And I like to keep my code organized, so this is going to come up here. I start my score with 0. So now, on my umbrella touch up, I can add a point. You guys already know how to add a point, so I'm not going to walk you through that. I'm just going to throw mine in there. Okay, so there my score is going to show up. And then I need to tell my umbrella to stop working because if it's already attached to its target, I don't want it to be able to move again. So I'm going to set my umbrella enabled to false, so it can't move again. Now, if it's not correct, if I messed something up, if I dropped it in the wrong place, I need to take away a point. I don't want to rewrite the code. So I'm going to tell it to lose a point instead. Update my score. And then I need to tell it to go back to its original location. Couple ways to do this, but this is where that index card comes in, where we set all of our original XY locations. I need to set an initial variable that tells it its original start X and original start Y locations. So I'm going to initialize a global variable called umbrella X. And in the math block, I'm going to put in what that number was that I wrote on my index card. For me, it was 541. I'm going to repeat that for my Y location. And my Y location for my umbrella was 7. Now that I have those, under the else, I can call my umbrella to move to those original XY locations. So now when I test this on my tablet, I'm moving my umbrella around my screen. If I drop it anywhere on the screen right now, it is taking away a point and it's snapping my umbrella back up to my original locations. If I drop it on the umbrella picture, it adds a point and I can't move that umbrella anymore. It's completely stuck there. At this point, my umbrella works. I'm good to go for making the umbrella move, give me a point, and lose a point if I'm wrong. Okay, so get your one sprite working the way it should and then come back.